Hello there. Good to see you again. Not quite as bright today, but hopefully it's a lot brighter where you are. I noticed something about my approach to the article. It was probably more last week than it was this week, but the Times did a thing on 7 tips or to cope with lockdown from people who are on permanent lockdown. And this was various nuns in various convents who have severely restricted engagement with what we will laughingly refer to as the real world and are in their own particular convent. Um, I didn't go through them in the same order as they did in the article because there were certain ones. This illustrates the point in itself. There are certain tips that they give that you more readily warm to than others. And the one which, well, I can't even say it's just the nuns. It's part of the advice. You are specifically given the permission to go outside to have daily exercise. Now, I would say I've been doing my cardiac aerobic workout. The loft is tidier than it's ever been. The garage is just pristine. We're going to have I'll tell you how good the garage is. It's got to the weird situation where I think in a relatively short period of time I could do the weirdest thing ever in a garage, which is put my car inside it. That is the degree to which the garage has been sorted. The thing is, there's too much space, and now other people are putting other things there. It's that phrase, nature hates a vacuum. Well, basically, the space is being filled by other things. But the point is, I do think I've been getting my exercise, but I haven't been doing what lots of people obviously have been doing, which is going out and having some kind of attempt at exercise or fitness or whatever. And well, here's what the nuns say. In one of the convents, they've got a DVD that tells them how to do yoga. There's a whole theological discussion there, which I propose just to kind of say, fine. And then they have an exercise bike. Do you have an exercise bike? Is it in the garage? And is it in your garage to the point where you can't get access to it? And then they said, we always have walks around the garden because being outside is always good. And I recognise that's true, and I recognise that's what you're given permission to do. I just haven't been doing that. Therefore, that was one of the tips I didn't do first. Here's another throwaway line. Dancing is also popular, said one of the nuns. We did a Brazilian water dance just the other morning. I'm not sure if I'm going to be taking up Brazilian water dancing anytime soon. But what I felt too much of a hypocrite. I was quoting all the various other tips that they were rhyming off. But I wasn't doing that one because I don't really go out for a walk. And I thought I have to go out for a walk before I actually say, here's a tip, go out for a walk. And I thought too much of a hypocrite to say the stuff. It's more just a kind of generalized observation. As soon as somebody tries to adhere to a set of standards, it might be faith standards or, excuse me, it might be lockdown standards. As soon as there's these rules that we have to abide by, people end up not abiding by them. It was it 2 days ago now? There was a major medical advisor who had to resign, a doctor who had set up the kind of self-isolation rules and had been advising Boris Johnson. And he had to resign because a lady had visited his house twice. And we obviously had our medical advisor a few, more than a month ago, resign. As soon as there's rules to keep, the people who make the rules and who then don't conform to the rules, journalism just loves to get those gotcha moments. I just think it's far more important. Are the rules themselves good rules or bad rules? Anyway, the hypocrisy charge was too much for me to cope with, so I went on a walk with Jackie. She said she would walk at my pace as opposed to requiring me to walk at her pace. We didn't walk to Rutherglen or anything. That's what Joshua does and then gets blisters on his feet. No, what we did was simply, we just, as we would say, we kind of walked around the block. It was about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, maybe. And I thought that's going to be the focus of what I have to say. That's the issue. Finally, I got to my do some physical exercise tip from the nuns, and that was the deal with the hypocrisy and then do that one. But it turns out God had a completely different idea. That wasn't what the issue, the thought for the day was going to be out of that situation. Because we literally turned the corner and this girl came screaming out of her house. I didn't recognise the girl, but it turns out she goes to Newton Farm Primary School. And so she came out, she came out quite quiet, but her mum, who subsequently then came out, her dad was already in the garden doing some gardening. She came out quite quiet, but the mum said, when she saw me go past, she said, that's Ian, I have to go and see it, I have to go and say hello to Ian. We don't know the impact that we have for the gospel when we actually talk about the gospel and talk about Jesus and talk about faith. I recognise I have the opportunity to do it specifically because I am a minister and therefore I have more opportunities than most. But it just struck me, we weren't literally, I was walking around doing my exercise, going for a walk, feeling somewhat sheepish and hypocritical because I was only doing it so I could then go and say, the nun said have some time where you actually do some physical exercise. But what actually was happening was this wee girl who hadn't been at school for, more than a month, suddenly saw somebody who comes in and talks about Jesus and does assemblies and that kind of thing. I should say, I also passed the test. I'm out there with just like a shirt on. I think I had sandals and a pair of shorts on going for the walk. And the father, as I said, was in the garden. And so he sees his daughter come out and go, hello, Ian. So fathers tend to look at you in a certain kind of way when their daughter says to, a mid-50s, short-wearing individual, hello, Ian. And you can see the dad's trying to work out, why does my daughter know the name of this man? And he looks the way he looks. That means I passed the test. Because the daughter didn't think, she's in, I think, primary 3. She's not thinking anything. She just sees somebody she recognises. And the fact that I go in and do assemblies with, the rest of the team, Alison and Ross and everybody else, she's not thinking anything other than, I recognise them. They're the people who talk about Jesus. Who are the people who you're going to bump into and realise these are the folks who are going to know about Christ because you speak about them when nobody else does? Apparently, exercise is good as well. So that is part of the message too. I'm just saying, I went on this walk so that I could do a thought for the day saying, get some exercise. And what happened instead was the realization we have no idea when we just talk about Jesus, the impact that we have. Take every opportunity, even if it's just on a walk, even if it's 2 meters distance, even if you are doing social distancing. When you have the opportunity, talk about faith. Because if Jesus is helping you get through this time of lockdown, tell people. Good to see you again. Go with God, because I know God goes with you.